Rocket Voyager 2, the final transmission Voyager 2. The name alone carries the weight of generations of wonder. It is not just a machine, but a time capsule forged from human hope, a messenger launched into the infinite in the summer of 1977. At that time, disco filled the airwaves, and humankind still measured its dreams in miles, not light years. Yet, from Cape Canaveral, a slender probe began its pilgrimage toward eternity. Inside its gold-plated shell, engineers packed the heartbeat of Earth, music from Bach and Chuck Berry, greetings in dozens of tongues, and the laughter of a child. It was humanity's first real bottle cast into the cosmic ocean, our attempt to say we exist to the endless night. For 48 years it has sailed that ocean, drifting farther from home than any object ever made by human hands. Voyager 2 slipped quietly through the inner planets, using gravity itself as a slingshot, borrowing momentum from giants to push it faster, farther. It gazed into the swirling eye of Jupiter, where lightning the size of continents flashed within crimson storms. It glided through the icy majesty of Saturn's rings, their shadows painting silver scars across the darkness. Then it pressed onward to Uranus and Neptune, where sunlight weakens into a blue whisper and the air itself freezes into diamonds. Each encounter was a chapter in a grand epic, a love letter from humankind to the cosmos. But every journey, no matter how noble, meets the edge of the known. Beyond Neptune, the warmth of the sun fades into memory. The solar wind, that invisible breath of our star, weakens, and the boundary of safety, the heliosphere, begins to thin. That bubble is our cradle, our shield against the raw tide of the galaxy. Outside it lies the true dark, a realm where interstellar winds howl with ancient fury, where cosmic rays tear through space like invisible storms. In 2018, Voyager 2 crossed that threshold. It became the second human creation to pierce the sun's frontier, entering interstellar space, a domain no eye, no radio, no soul had ever touched directly. Even there, billions of miles away, the little probe continued to speak. Its faint radio hum, a heartbeat barely above silence, still reached the massive antennas of Earth's deep space network. Every signal was a triumph. Every data packet a miracle against the noise of the universe. For a while, all was routine. Then, without warning, the routine cracked. Something flickered across the vast black tapestry of space, an echo that should not have been there. At first it seemed like static, a minor distortion born from distance and dying power. But as the signal was decoded, a pattern began to emerge, deliberate, rhythmic, alive. Voyager 2 had sent a final transmission. And it was different. Not random, not broken, not accidental. Inside the faint whisper of radio waves, scientists found ratios that mirrored mathematical constants, sequences that implied logic, and modulation that hinted at awareness. It was as if the void itself had spoken back. What reached Earth that day was not a simple telemetry update. It was a pulse of meaning. A pattern hidden inside silence. The world's largest radio dishes tilted toward the stars, trying to capture every echo, every fraction of that strange rhythm. Teams of analysts, linguists, and astrophysicists worked without sleep, turning noise into numbers, numbers into questions. The message defied explanation. It wasn't cosmic background radiation, nor the mechanical decay of a dying transmitter. It was structure, pure and undeniable. Repetition where there should have been chaos. Order where there should have been entropy. And then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the transmission ended. Cleanly. Perfectly. As if a hand had flicked a cosmic switch. The deep space network fell silent. Voyager 2 was gone. Yet what remained was not emptiness, but an echo of revelation. Those who had spent lifetimes tending to the spacecraft felt both awe and unease. They knew the probe was more than machinery. It was humanity's oldest voice still speaking across the dark. And now that voice had uttered something new, something that could not be easily defined. It was as though the universe itself had leaned closer, had whispered into our own creation, and through it, said, "I hear you." For decades, we imagined space as a void, cold, distant, indifferent. But after Voyager 2's final call, that vision began to shift. Perhaps the universe was not silent after all. Perhaps the darkness had been listening the entire time. Weeks passed. Then months. The silence that followed was heavier than anyone expected. Mission control at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory grew still. The great radio dishes of the Deep Space Network stood frozen, their parabolic mouths pointed toward the endless black, listening for a heartbeat that would not return. Each day, engineers ran diagnostics, sent commands, waited for the faintest flicker of reply, but the void stayed quiet. Voyager 2, humanity's oldest traveler, had vanished beyond the horizon of communication. It was as if the universe itself had swallowed our voice whole. And yet, even in silence, it continued to haunt the minds of those who had followed its journey. Because what came before that silence, that last strange signal, had changed everything. At first, the data fragments seemed like a coincidence. Patterns where none should exist. A trick of interference. But as the days went on, scientists began to notice something deeper. Hidden inside the transmission was structure, a rhythm resembling a reply. As though Voyager hadn't just sent data, but had echoed something it heard. A mirrored pulse. Slightly delayed, slightly distorted, as if it were repeating a voice not its own. It wasn't human. It wasn't mechanical noise. It was something in between, a reflection from the dark. No one could explain it. The probe's systems weren't capable of spontaneous modulation. Its code couldn't alter the signal format on its own. And yet, there it was, a pulse that rose and fell like breath. Mathematicians mapped it. Astrophysicists modeled it. Linguists tried to find language within the numbers. None succeeded. The deeper they looked, the more the signal seemed to gaze back. In the months that followed, the story spread. Whispers traveled from laboratories to late-night newsrooms. Headlines called it, "The Last Message from Voyager." Others, more daring, called it, "The First Reply from the Stars." NASA stayed quiet, releasing only fragments, waveforms, spectrograms, energy graphs, but not the decoded sequences themselves. Rumors grew like wildfire. Some claimed the data hid prime number progressions, others saw repeating intervals matching hydrogen resonance frequencies, the universal fingerprint of communication. Even if none of it was true, the mystery breathed life into a single, haunting question. What if we are not alone? Voyager 2 became more than a probe. It became a symbol, a relic of human persistence, a candle flickering at the edge of forever. Some scientists believed the signal was cosmic echo, our own transmission bouncing off interstellar plasma clouds, delayed by eons of distance. Others believed something, or someone, had heard us. And through Voyager, had chosen to speak back. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. For the first time, humanity looked into the dark and felt the dark look back. Years later, Voyager's golden record still spins quietly in the void. Its copper grooves hold greetings from every corner of Earth, languages, songs, and the sound of rain. Somewhere, drifting between stars, it continues its slow eternal journey. No longer transmitting. No longer listening. But existing, as proof that once, a small blue world dared to reach beyond itself. And if that final signal truly was a reply, then perhaps it wasn't an ending at all. Perhaps it was an invitation. Because out there, beyond the heliosphere, beyond the reach of the sun's warmth and gravity, the silence isn't empty. It hums. It breathes. It waits. And in that waiting, there is the faintest promise that someday, something will answer again. Voyager the 2nd of May be gone, but its voice lingers, a whisper that forever bridges the distance between us and the stars.